A social cue is any awkward moment that you're not quite sure how to handle, or maybe that you thought you knew how to handle, but when the time came for handling it, it totally didn't play the way you thought it would. Generally, a social cue is something that you and your best friend can't work out in 2.5 minutes. Then you send them to me. Social Cues is the column that I write for the New York Times. It appears in the style section every Sunday, and I try to answer the sticky problems that people try to work through these days with compassion and a little humor and generally, inevitably, a bitchy remark or two, because that's the way I roll. We're living in tougher times, I think, these days than we were when Dear Abby was alive and kicking. I think problems brew and bubble up a lot faster than they used to, especially with all the electronic media that has us pinging things all over the place. We know how to deal with our bosses, and we know how to deal with Facebook friends. But what happens when our bosses become our Facebook friends? And that's trickier than the world that Dear Abby used to try to deal with, but that's the world we live in now, and that's the world that Social Cues wants to help you handle. The way I got the column, as I'm told by the New York Times, is that I wrote this novel called Father's Day a few years back. And it was about this very charming, very smart alecky, but totally clueless guy who was really unable to handle the problems of his life. The Times decided that I was the perfect guy to write Social Cues, which would be about answering people's problems about how to live their lives, which is a kind of neat trick if you think about it, right? A middle-aged lady is walking by a schoolyard every day on her way to work, and this pack of 10-year-old boys is in the playground chanting, "Botox! Botox! Botox!" when she walks by. And, hello, I wouldn't know how to handle that if I were a middle-aged person walking by a schoolyard, so she writes in and wants to know, what does it mean? Do I need Botox, are they telling me? Do they think I've had Botox? And it was my job to say, what difference does it make? They're 10 years old. I think the way you'd handle that one is to smile and wave and be their best friend, and maybe tomorrow they will pick on somebody else. If there was one social cue that you could take away from my book, it would be this. Learn to say, I'm sorry, while looking like you really mean it. Because I'm sorry is like WD-40, that spray-on junk that they used to sell at hardware stores. Something broken, sprayed on, fixed, miracle, terrific. That's what I'm sorry can be like for you.